foremost, let me give credit to Coach Kelly. Obviously, Notre Dame, they've got a great football team, a great football program. From an Iowa State standpoint, I walked out of our last football game disappointed maybe with the character in which we played because I thought we was a little bit uncharacteristic of who we are and what our program stood for. But today I don't. Obviously, there's about 7 or 8 plays in this football game that really dictated the outcome of the football game in some ways for us that allowed us to be inefficient. And unfortunately, it's really what's held us back at times this football season from becoming the team that we do have the ability to become. But the character, the passion, the love of this senior class, what these young men have taught us and given to this football team has been some great lessons that we'll be able to carry forward in a really powerful way. But with that said, I'll certainly open any questions that you might have for us.
All right, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll start up here in the front on the left.
Matt brought up the handful of plays that were significant. Besides the 2 lost fumbles, 4th and 1 there towards the end of the first half. What'd you see there?
Yeah, and I'll have to go back, Randy, and see. I felt like we were going to get pressure off both edges. We needed an inch. We secured both edges, and whether it was push or whatever that was, we didn't get it. And so, again, you talk about 2 4th and 1s, you talk about 2 lost fumbles. Man, it's really hard to beat a really good football team not executing in those critical situations.
We'll go in front on the right.
Coach, I guess first of all, what was the status of Brock? I know it looked like he had stuff on his ankle, and now that the season's over, I know it may be a little. Has he been dealing with some stuff? It seems like I know you guys have dealt with various injuries. Has he been dealing with stuff throughout that he's had to fight through?
Yeah, first of all, it's a high ankle sprain, so we're really fortunate and lucky, and obviously Brock is fortunate and lucky as well. There is no break, and we've been able to get him MRI'd and X-rayed already. I think for Brock, he certainly has. The Kansas State game, the Oklahoma State game are 2 games where, from an ankle standpoint and mobility standpoint, he was really limited. Today, I thought he was the most healthy he's been, since, probably the midpoint of the football season. But, Brock's dealt with that, and I think that's part of the process of playing quarterback. We've been really fortunate because he's been able to take almost every rep for us at the quarterback spot. And, as we know, he likes to use his feet at times to help himself. So, certainly not an issue that we're worried about going forward, but, just a understanding of it's a long football season, a lot of hits on him.
Matt, curious, in those 7, 8 plays, how many of them ended up going to Chase Claypool, their talented receiver, and ultimately, is there a whole lot you can do about a guy who's certainly going to be playing in the NFL next year and has some pretty special measurables?
Yeah, and let me first give Chase so much praise. I mean, he's a phenomenal football player, and I said going into this football game, and our defensive staff would say the same thing. I thought we had a really good plan to take him away at times in the game, but again, a lack of execution. I think the 3rd down, 3rd and 15, and he's got the ability to make the play, and instead of, we have 2 guys on him, we're supposed to jam them and play an off-jam coverage. Instead of playing an off-jam coverage, our young corner's playing a tight jam coverage, and we don't get any hands on him and really give him a free run on 3rd down and long. And again, that's what I mean. Detail and execution, those are little things that this team, it's kind of prohibited us at times from being the best version of us we need to be. And, that starts with me as the football coach. If it's not getting done, then we got to make sure it gets done.
Goes from the front all the way to your right.
Coach, what do you tell the team, specifically the seniors, after a tough loss like that, and how do you get the guys motivated going into training in the offseason and spring ball?
Yeah, I think this senior class has led – they've done an incredible job leading. And, I've got one of our great seniors right next to me that, who they are, what they stood for, and how this football team's really responded all season long to hard, tough situations has been because of our great leadership by our senior class. I mean, you saw our kids fighting today. We go into the second half on defense. We don't give up a score. You see us executing and doing some great things in our special teams units. And so from my end of it, to me, when the attitude, the effort, and the character of our football team is still where it needs to be and continuing to grow, I think we're in great spot. You got to remember, this is a really young team, and a lot of really young guys were forced into some critical moments this year. And this senior class was able to carry those young guys through some tough moments. And, this also, the senior class had to handle a lot of expectations with some really young players. And so I think the balance of that is what's got me really excited about our future, about this football team. I think we're really close. And I think there's obviously being really close and doing it are two different things. And so we're going to have to figure out how to get it done.
Staying up front, center left.
DeShante, what's your take on what happened out there today?
Notre Dame, they played a great game. That's just hats off to them. They're a great team. Obviously, they were 10-2 coming into the season or coming into the bowl game. So this is a great team. Come out there, they play hard, they fought, and that's just what happened.
Did it surprise you that at this point in the season there are still the little detailed things that you guys are working on, because it has been such a big talking point, and then it was cropping up again today after a month?
Yeah, I think today's where a little bit different was, you're talking about a ball on the ground here, a ball on the ground there. I think we've done a fairly good job all season with that, and then you got to give credit to those guys. They've got an outstanding defensive front. Made a great play on special teams to rake the ball out, and I think from my standpoint of it is, I've seen great growth in some of the areas that have occurred during the season, and yet there's still areas that we have to get figured out. And, you can't jump off sides inside the 10-yard line any more than Iowa State football has this year. And that's coaching. It's not. It can't be blaming anybody. That's coaching. And so, you can't continue to give up 3rd and long. That's coaching. And so, some of those areas we have to look ourselves in the mirror, and we got to figure out how to get those things answered. Because you're right, those are things that have continued to rear its ugly head. And I'll be the first one to take accountability for it, and we'll do a great job this offseason figuring it out.
Over on the left.
DeShante, for you, Coach talks about the foundation laid for this team going forward and the character. Do you see some of those things, and then what, as someone who will be watching from afar, what do you expect to see from this group of guys that you're leaving behind?
Yeah, the team. There's so many guys on the team that's going to go back to work and continue to expect greatness from everybody. There's so many leaders in that locker room right now that's going to bring that team together. I don't have any worry of what's going to happen to the next team, the 2020 team. So. As far as that, the leaders are going to control and take over. Guys like Brock, Lawrence, Greg, just a handful of guys right there that can lead that team and continue to push this program to a positive direction.
Over on the right front.
Danny Thompson, 3-point conversion. DeShante, I know today's your last day, but what's the biggest thing Coach has taught you at Iowa State that's going to prepare you for the next level?
Just to keep fighting and just to keep getting myself better. Throughout these years, I had a lot of ups and downs, and throughout the years, I just told myself just to focus on myself and just to continue to get better as a person and as a player. And this year has by far been my best year since I've been at Iowa State. And a lot of those things is I focused on myself, and I focused on little things to get myself better and to continue to help my teammates and be selfless and do all those things just to help my teammates. And everything just came back to me in a positive way.
Straight in the back of the camera platform.
Matt, when John Schaefer, WOI, when will you go back and watch this film? Will it be one on the plane ride, or are you going to take a break a little bit and just kind of say goodbye to seniors and get ready for that next move, or when does that happen for you?
Yeah, I'm knowing me, it'll probably happen here in about 3 hours. But, I think from my standpoint, you are at a unique time as the season comes to an end. We've got great seniors that have got great opportunities. And so, number one, I want to make sure we do everything in their power to make sure they're set for life after Iowa State. Number two, obviously the excitement of coming back here, and we've got about 2.5 good weeks to prepare ourselves for this football team to come back and figure out what are those things that we really got to focus on. And January, as you guys have heard me say millions of times, January, February, March, April, and May are critical times for the development of a football team. But I do think the thing that I'm excited about is you've got so many, and like DeShante said, you've got some leadership and some leaders that may be the greatest room that we've had since I've been here in terms of guys that get it, that understand it, and that have the ability to demand it from everybody in the program. And so I think that's one of these great things that this senior class has done, is help that next group come and be ready to go and be ready to lead. And so those things I'm really excited about.